Stop translating for a moment. Just listen to me. When you hear English, your brain may immediately run back to your first language, search for meaning, build a sentence, and then bring it back into English. That is why even a simple conversation can feel exhausting. But your brain does not have to work this way forever. There is a point where English can begin reaching you directly, without that long journey through translation. And the surprising part is that you may not need more grammar or more vocabulary to begin. You need to change what your brain does while you listen. Stay with me, because in a moment, I'm going to make you experience that difference yourself. Now I want you to notice what happens inside your mind when you hear a simple English sentence. Do not answer me yet, just notice. If I say, I'm running late, so I'll call you when I get there, what does your brain do? Does it immediately search for the meaning in your first language? Does it take the sentence apart word by word? Does it try to understand running, then late, then call, then get there? If that is what happens, there is nothing strange about you. You understood the event. Listen again. I forgot my keys, so I had to go back upstairs. This time, do not chase the words. Follow the situation. That small change is extremely important because fluent understanding is not built by translating thousands of isolated words. It is built by recognizing familiar sounds, phrases, situations and patterns quickly enough that meaning begins to arrive automatically. Think about the phrase, "How are you?" You probably do not analyze it anymore. You do not stop and examine how, then are, then you. You hear the whole thing as one familiar unit. That is what we want to build with more and more English. And this is where many learners make a mistake. They constantly search for new words because new vocabulary makes them feel productive. A notebook becomes full. A vocabulary application shows hundreds of learned words. Grammar exercises become easier. But then somebody asks a simple question in real life, and suddenly the learner freezes. Why? Because knowing English information and processing English in real time are different abilities. You may know the word, you may know the grammar, but your brain may not have practiced retrieving that language at conversational speed. So today I want you to stop asking only, how much English do I know? Start asking, how quickly can I recognize and use the English I already know? That question changes everything. Let us test it. I am going to give you a simple situation. You wake up in the morning. You look at the clock. You realize you are late. What is the first English thought you can create? Do not make it impressive. Maybe, I'm late. Good. Now add one thought. I'm late. I need to get ready. Now another. I'm late. I need to get ready. I don't have much time. Say those sentences aloud. I'm late. I need to get ready. I don't have much time. Notice what we are doing. We are not translating a complicated paragraph. We are connecting a situation directly with simple English. Your brain needs thousands of these small connections, much more than it needs a few complicated sentences. When you are brushing your teeth, think, I'm brushing my teeth. When you cannot find something, think, where did I put it? When your phone battery is low, think, I need to charge my phone. When somebody sends you a message, think, I'll answer later. When you are hungry, think, I need something to eat. These sentences may look too simple to matter, but simplicity is exactly why they work. Your brain can retrieve them quickly, and every quick retrieval strengthens the connection between your experience and English. Do not make the mistake of believing that thinking in English means producing beautiful advanced sentences inside your head all day. That is not the beginning. The beginning is removing unnecessary distance between the moment and the language. You see rain. It's raining. You feel cold. I need a jacket. You hear your phone. Someone's calling me. You look outside. It's getting dark. Short, direct, useful. Try one now. Look at something near you. Do not tell me it's translation. Tell me something about it in English. Maybe you see a chair. The chair is beside me. Maybe you see a window. The window is open. Maybe you see your phone. My phone is on the table. Now add one more detail. My phone is on the table, but the battery is almost dead. Very good. This is how you begin training direct thought, but there is another part of the problem. Sometimes you translate because you are trying to say something in English exactly the way you would say it in your first language. You create a complete idea in your native language with all its details, emotion, expressions, and sentence structure. Then you demand that your English reproduce it perfectly. That is an enormous mental task. And when one word is missing, everything stops. So I want to give you a rule that can make speaking much easier. Do not ask, how do I translate this sentence? Ask, how can I express this idea with the English I already have? Those are very different questions. Suppose you want to say something complicated, but you cannot remember the word exhausted. Do you stop? No. Say, I'm really tired. Maybe you forget the word appointment. Say, I have to see the doctor at 3. Maybe you cannot remember recommend. Say, what do you think I should choose? Communication continues. This ability is powerful because fluent speakers are not fluent because every perfect word arrives instantly. They are fluent because when one path is blocked, they can find another path. You need that ability too. Let us practice. Imagine that you want to say, the restaurant was overcrowded, but you cannot remember overcrowded. What could you say? Give yourself a moment. You might say, there were too many people in the restaurant. Excellent. Now suppose you forget the word umbrella. You could say, the thing I use when it rains. It may not be elegant, but the conversation survives. And keeping the conversation alive is more important than stopping for 20 seconds, because one word has disappeared. Your mind becomes faster when you stop demanding perfection from it. Now I want you to listen to another sentence. I was going to cook dinner, but I was too tired, so I ordered something instead. Do not translate. Follow the movement of the idea. First, there was a plan. Cook dinner. Then there was a problem. Tired. Then there was a decision. Order food. Listen again. I was going to cook dinner, but I was too tired, so I ordered something instead. Can you feel the structure? I was going to, but, so. Keep that pattern. Now make it yours. I was going to exercise, but I got home late, so I rested instead. Your turn. I was going to. Finish it with something from your life. Do not worry about creating the perfect sentence. This is one of the fastest ways to reduce translation. Stop learning English as isolated vocabulary and begin noticing reusable language patterns. When you hear, I'm looking forward to, do not only memorize the definition. Use the whole pattern. I'm looking forward to the weekend. I'm looking forward to seeing my family. I'm looking forward to starting the course. When you hear, I haven't had time to, keep the unit. I haven't had time to reply. I haven't had time to exercise. I haven't had time to finish the book. Now your brain does not have to construct every sentence from nothing. It has familiar pieces ready to use. Think of these phrases as pathways. The more often you walk along the same useful pathway, the easier it becomes to travel. This is why listening matters so much. Good listening gives your brain ready-made English. You hear how ideas are actually expressed. You hear which words naturally appear together. You hear rhythm. You hear reductions. You hear where speakers pause. You hear how a sentence behaves when it is spoken instead of written. But I want you to listen strategically. Do not choose a difficult 30-minute podcast and congratulate yourself for surviving it. Choose 30 seconds. Yes, 30 seconds. If the material is suitable for your level, 30 seconds can give you more useful training than 30 minutes of passive listening. Here is what you do. First, listen to the short audio without stopping. Your only question is, what is happening? Not, what does every word mean? Not, which tense is this? Not, why did the speaker use that preposition? Just, what is happening? Then listen again. This time, notice one or two phrases that sound useful. Then listen again and repeat one sentence. Then listen again and try to say the meaning in your own words. That final step is important. You are teaching your brain that English is not something you merely receive. It is something you can process and produce. Let us simulate that right now. Listen. I didn't sleep very well last night, so I'm having trouble concentrating today. What happened? The person slept badly. Because of that, concentrating is difficult. Good. Now repeat. I didn't sleep very well last night. Again. I didn't sleep very well last night. Now. I'm having trouble concentrating today. Again. I'm having trouble concentrating today. Now change one part. I'm having trouble staying awake today. Or, I'm having trouble focusing on my work today. Now make your own sentence with, I'm having trouble. Pause mentally and complete it. This is not passive listening anymore. Your brain is hearing, understanding, retrieving, adapting, and speaking. That combination is where real improvement happens. And something interesting begins to happen when you repeat useful English this way. Your inner voice starts borrowing patterns from the English you hear. At first, your thoughts may still begin in your native language. Then one day, simple English appears first. You are looking for your keys, and suddenly your mind says, "Where are my keys?" Nobody told you to translate. The English arrived. You are waiting for someone, and your mind says, "They're taking forever." You are watching the weather and think, "It looks like rain." Those moments may seem small, but they are signs that the language is becoming more available to you. Do not wait for some dramatic morning when you wake up and suddenly think entirely in English. Thinking in English grows in pieces. One phrase becomes automatic, then another, then one situation, then another. Eventually, those pieces begin connecting. This is also why I want you to be careful with subtitles. Subtitles can help you, especially when spoken English is difficult to recognize. But if your eyes are doing all the work, your ears do not receive enough training. Try this method. Watch a short clip once with English subtitles. Understand the situation. Then watch the same clip again without subtitles. Now your brain already knows the context, so your ears can focus more strongly on the sound. Then close the clip and say one sentence you remember. It does not have to be exact. This is important because real conversations do not arrive with subtitles. When someone asks you a question, you cannot freeze the person, replay the sentence, read a transcript, check 3 words in a dictionary, and then answer. Your brain needs experience processing imperfect information in real time. And yes, sometimes you will miss a word. That is normal. You do not need every word to understand every message. Think about your first language. Even there, you sometimes do not hear someone perfectly. A car passes. A door closes. Someone speaks quietly. But your brain uses context to fill the gap. You need to allow your English brain to develop that same confidence. Suppose you hear, "I'll pick you up around 7, but I might be a little late because traffic is terrible." Maybe you missed the word traffic. Do you lose the entire message? No. You still understand that the person will arrive around 7 and may be late. That is enough. The obsession with understanding 100% can actually slow down your listening because your attention becomes trapped on one missing word while the speaker continues. Train yourself to keep moving. If one word disappears, stay with the sentence. If one sentence is unclear, stay with the conversation. Meaning often becomes clearer from what comes next. Now I want you to do another small exercise. Listen to these 3 sentences without trying to translate them. I'm waiting for the bus. It should be here soon. If it doesn't come in 5 minutes, I'll take a taxi. What is happening? Picture it. You are at a bus stop. You are waiting. The bus is late. You are considering another option. That mental scene gives the language somewhere to live. This is why situations are so powerful. Your brain remembers language better when the words belong to something meaningful. So instead of collecting random vocabulary, collect situations. Morning English, work English, shopping English, travel English, phone call English, restaurant English, small talk English, problem-solving English. For example, imagine entering a cafe. Do not memorize a 20-line dialogue. Build a small group of flexible phrases. Could I get a coffee, please? Can I have it without sugar? Could I also get something to eat? That's all, thank you. Can I pay by card? Now imagine the employee says something you do not understand. You need rescue phrases. Sorry, could you say that again? A little more slowly. Please. Do you mean this one? What does that mean? These phrases are valuable because they help you remain inside English, even when communication becomes difficult. That is another important shift. A learner who depends heavily on translation often panics when understanding breaks. A stronger speaker has tools for staying in the conversation. Let us practice that. Repeat. Could you say that again? Again. Could you say that again? Now. I didn't catch that. Again. I didn't catch that. Now. Do you mean keep that beginning ready? These are not glamorous sentences, but real fluency is built from useful language, not impressive language. You want English that works when you need it, and you want to practice retrieving it before the real situation happens. You can do this alone. Imagine tomorrow morning. Where will you go? Who might you speak to? What could someone ask you? Maybe you are going to work. Imagine a colleague asking, "How was your weekend?" Do not prepare a perfect speech. Prepare 3 possible answers. It was good. I mostly relaxed. It was pretty busy. I had a lot to do. It was nice. I spent some time with my family. Now add a question back. How about yours? That small addition changes the interaction from answering English to having a conversation. Try another one. Someone asks, "What have you been working on lately?" You might say, "I've been working on a new project." Then add detail. "It's challenging, but I'm learning a lot." Then return the conversation. What about you? You are training conversation as movement. Receive, respond, add, return. That rhythm is much more useful than memorizing isolated perfect answers. And I want you to notice something else. When you speak, do not try to watch yourself from outside. Some learners are speaking and judging themselves at the same time. Was that grammar correct? Did my accent sound strange? Was that the right word? What does this person think about my English? Your brain cannot communicate freely while another part of your mind is constantly interrupting. During practice, give yourself permission to finish the thought first. You can correct yourself later. Communication first, analysis second. Try this. Speak for 20 seconds about what you did this morning. Do not stop. If you make a mistake, keep going. Start now. This morning I continue. Maybe. This morning I woke up around 7. I checked my phone, made some tea, and started getting ready for work. I was a little tired because I went to bed late. Did you make a mistake? Maybe. Did the message still exist? Probably. That matters. Now do it again. But this time, try to make it slightly smoother. The second attempt will often feel easier because your brain has already organized the idea once. This technique is extremely useful. Speak about the same simple topic twice. The first time, discover what you want to say. The second time, improve how you say it. This teaches your brain to become faster without forcing speed. Fluency is not about speaking as quickly as possible. Fluency is about reducing unnecessary struggle between thought and speech. Sometimes a fluent answer is slow and calm. Sometimes it is short. Sometimes it includes a pause. The important thing is that the pause does not destroy your confidence. You need to become comfortable saying, "Give me a second. Let me think. How can I explain this? What I mean is..." These phrases give your brain time while keeping the conversation alive. Repeat. Let me think. Again. Let me think. Now. What I mean is. Again. What I mean is. When you have these expressions available, silence stops feeling dangerous. And when silence stops feeling dangerous, anxiety decreases. When anxiety decreases, retrieval often becomes easier. You may have experienced this. You know a word perfectly when you are alone. Then somebody asks you a question, you become nervous, and suddenly the word disappears. Later, 5 minutes after the conversation, the word returns. That does not mean you never knew it. It means pressure affected your access to it. So part of becoming fluent is not only learning more English, it is teaching yourself to remain calm while using imperfect English. And listening can help with that, because listening provides familiarity. The more often you hear common phrases, the less strange they feel. The less strange they feel, the easier they are to recognize. The easier they are to recognize, the more likely they are to appear when you speak. This is why repetition is not boring when you use it intelligently. You do not need a new English video every 10 minutes. Sometimes you need the same 30-second clip again. The first time, you understand maybe 60%. The second time, 70%. The third time, a phrase suddenly becomes clear. The fourth time, you repeat it. The fifth time, you say it without the speaker. The sixth time, you change it. Now that little piece of English belongs to you more deeply than something you heard once and immediately forgot. So I want you to create a small listening loop. Choose one short piece of English. Listen, understand, repeat, change, use. 5 actions. Listen, understand, repeat, change, use. Let us practice with one sentence. I'm trying to cut down on how much time I spend on my phone. Listen, what does it mean? The person wants to use the phone less. Now repeat. I'm trying to cut down on how much time I spend on my phone. If that is difficult, shorten it. I'm trying to spend less time on my phone. Repeat that. Now change it. I'm trying to spend less money. I'm trying to eat less sugar. I'm trying to complain less. Now use the pattern for your own life. I'm trying to complete it. That is how listening becomes speaking. Not by copying forever, but by copying until you can create. There is another habit I want you to change. Stop asking your brain to learn too many things at once. If you listen to a sentence and simultaneously try to understand every word, remember grammar, check pronunciation, translate, memorize vocabulary, notice the tense, and prepare a response, your attention becomes overloaded. Give each listening repetition one job. First time, understand the main idea. Second time, notice useful phrases. Third time, notice pronunciation and rhythm. Fourth time, repeat. Fifth time, create your own version. Simple, focused, manageable. This is how you make practice sustainable. And sustainability matters more than intensity. 1 day of 3-hour study, followed by 6 days of nothing, creates a very different relationship with English from 20 focused minutes every day. Your brain responds to repeated contact. You want English to stop feeling like an event. You want it to become part of ordinary life, so put English into moments that already exist. While you make breakfast, describe one action. I'm making coffee. I need a clean cup. I'm running out of milk. While you walk somewhere, notice your environment. It's quieter than usual. There aren't many people outside. The weather is getting warmer. While you wait, create one prediction. The bus will probably arrive soon. I think they're going to call me back. I might be here for another 10 minutes. While you finish your day, summarize one moment. I had a difficult morning, but the afternoon was better. These are tiny exercises, but they train the most important connection, thought directly into English. Now, I want to challenge you with something slightly harder. Tell me about yesterday, using only simple English. Do not translate the perfect version of yesterday. Build it from what you can say. Start with, yesterday was, maybe. Yesterday was busy. Then, I had a lot of work. Then, I finished late. Then, I went home and rested. Now connect them. Yesterday was busy because I had a lot of work. I finished late, so when I got home, I just wanted to rest. You see what happened? We did not begin with a complicated sentence. We built complexity from simple thoughts. This is one of the safest ways to start thinking in English. Think small first, then connect. A fluent paragraph is often just several simple ideas connected naturally. Do not try to create the paragraph before you can create the sentence. And do not try to create the sentence before you can create the thought. Thought, sentence, connection, flow. That is the progression. Now listen to this. I wanted to go out, but it started raining, so I decided to stay home. You already know this kind of structure. Want, problem, decision. Your brain loves patterns because patterns reduce the amount of new processing required. So when you listen, look for these recurring shapes. I wanted to, but. I was going to, but. I usually, but today. I've been trying to. I'm not sure if. The reason is, it depends on. As soon as. Even though. Do not memorize them as grammar formulas alone. Hear them. Say them. Put your own life inside them. For example, I usually wake up early, but today I slept in. Your turn. I usually, but today. Finish it. Now. I've been trying to. Finish it. Now. I'm not sure if. Finish it. Every completed sentence creates a small piece of automatic language. And automaticity matters because real conversation gives you limited preparation time. Somebody asks, "Are you free tomorrow?" You do not want your mind to begin a grammar conference. You want language to appear. I'm not sure yet. I might be free in the afternoon. That response comes from familiarity. So build familiarity with ordinary English. This is also why I do not want you to spend all your listening time on advanced speeches, complicated documentaries, or content filled with rare vocabulary. Those can be useful later. But if your goal is everyday speaking, your brain needs enormous exposure to everyday English. How people agree. That makes sense. How people disagree gently. I'm not sure I agree. How people hesitate. Let me think about that. How people correct themselves. Actually, let me say that differently. How people show interest. Really? What happened? How people continue. Anyway, as I was saying, these little expressions are the glue of conversation. Learn them as sound and rhythm, not only as text. Say, "That makes sense." Again, but naturally. "That makes sense." Now, really, what happened? Again, really, what happened? Now, let me think about that. Good. Your mouth needs familiarity too. You can understand a phrase perfectly and still struggle to say it because understanding and producing speech are not identical tasks. Speaking involves timing, breath, tongue movement, stress, rhythm, and coordination. So sometimes your mouth needs repetition, even when your brain already understands. This is where imitation becomes powerful. Choose a sentence from a clear speaker. Do not only repeat the words, copy the movement. Where does the speaker become stronger? Where does the voice become softer? Which words connect? Where is the pause? Take this sentence. I didn't really expect that to happen. Say it slowly. I didn't really expect that to happen. Now say it as one thought, not 6 separate words. I didn't really expect that to happen. Again. Now change it. I didn't really expect him to call. I didn't really expect the meeting to take that long. I didn't really expect it to be so difficult. Your ears heard a pattern. Your mouth repeated it. Your mind changed it. That is complete training. And I want you to understand that listening is not passive when you do it this way. Good listening is preparation for speaking. Your brain is constantly predicting. When it hears familiar language, it begins anticipating what may come next. If you hear, I'm looking forward, your brain begins expecting to. If you hear, it depends, you may expect on. If someone says, I haven't seen him, your brain may expect a time expression like in a while or since Monday. These predictions make processing faster, but prediction only develops through repeated exposure. You cannot memorize every possible sentence in English. You do not need to. You need enough experience with patterns that new sentences begin feeling familiar, even when you have never heard those exact sentences before. That is a major turning point. English stops looking like millions of separate sentences and starts feeling like a smaller set of familiar patterns carrying different information. Now I want you to test your prediction. I will begin a sentence. You finish it naturally. I'm looking forward to. What appeared in your mind? Maybe. Seeing you. The weekend. My vacation. Good. Next. I'm not used to. Finish it. Maybe. Waking up this early. Speaking English every day. Working at night. Next. I ended up, maybe, staying home. Buying the cheaper one. Taking a taxi. That is real-time production. You are not translating complete sentences. You are completing familiar English pathways. Now imagine doing 5 minutes of this every day. Not 50 phrases. 5 useful patterns. Hear them, repeat them, complete them, use them later. That practice can gradually change how quickly English becomes available to you. But I also want you to protect yourself from one trap, trying to sound native before you can speak comfortably. Your goal is clear, natural communication, not imitation of somebody else's identity. You do not need to erase your accent. You do not need to use complicated slang. You do not need to speak at extreme speed. You need to understand and be understood. Clarity first, then natural rhythm, then greater flexibility, and confidence should grow alongside skill. Do not wait until you are fluent enough to feel confident. Confidence grows from evidence. You answer one question successfully. Evidence. You understand a short video without subtitles. Evidence. You speak for 1 minute without translating every line. Evidence. You forget a word and explain it another way. Evidence. You survive a real conversation. Evidence. Collect these moments. They tell your brain, I can use English. That message is far more powerful than repeatedly telling yourself, my English is bad. Be specific about your progress. Instead of saying, I am still not fluent, say, I answered faster today. I understood more than last week. I used a phrase without translating. I spoke even though I was nervous. I corrected myself and continued. Those are measurable signs of development. Now I want you to practice one more important skill, responding before your sentence is perfect. I will ask you a question. What do you normally do after work or school? Do not prepare for 20 seconds. Answer with the simplest sentence available. Maybe, I usually go home and rest. Good. Now add one detail. I usually go home and rest for a while. Add one more. Then I have dinner and watch something. That is conversation. Question. Simple answer. Detail. Extension. Try another. What kind of weather do you like? Answer immediately. I like cool weather. Why? Because I can go outside without feeling too hot. Anything else? I especially like cool, sunny mornings. Beautiful. Not because the English is complicated, because the thought moves. That is what you want. Movement. When you speak, think forward. Do not keep returning to inspect the sentence you just said. If you made a small mistake 3 seconds ago, but your listener understood you, continue. Constantly looking backward destroys flow. Imagine driving a car while staring in the rearview mirror. You need the mirror, but you cannot drive by looking only behind you. Grammar correction is the same. Use it strategically. Record yourself for 1 minute. Speak freely first, then listen. Choose 1 or 2 things to improve. Do not attack every mistake. Maybe you notice you repeatedly forget the past tense. Good. That becomes your focus. Maybe your pronunciation of one common word is unclear. Good. Practice that word. Maybe you use the same basic adjective too often. Good. Learn 2 alternatives. Focused correction creates progress. Constant self-judgment creates fear. Now think about the English you consume every day. Is it close to the English you want to produce? If you want conversational English, listen to conversations. If you want workplace English, listen to clear workplace discussions. If you want better storytelling, listen to people telling stories. Your input becomes part of your output. So choose input intentionally. And choose material that is challenging enough to teach you something but understandable enough that you can follow the message. If you understand almost nothing, your brain has very little stable meaning to connect with the sound. If you understand absolutely everything, you may not be stretching much. Look for that useful middle area where you understand the general message, but still notice new phrases and sounds. Then revisit the material. Do not constantly abandon yesterday's English for today's new English. Return. Recognition grows through return. Now I want you to create a daily routine that does not feel like a school punishment. You only need a short period of focused work. Begin with listening. Take 2 or 3 minutes of understandable English. Listen once for meaning. Listen again and notice 2 useful phrases. Choose 1 sentence and repeat it several times. Then change the sentence to fit your own life. After that, speak for 1 or 2 minutes about something simple. Your day, a plan, something that annoyed you, something you enjoyed, a decision you need to make. Then finish by creating 3 English thoughts about what is happening around you. That is enough to train several systems together. Listening, recognition, pronunciation, retrieval, thinking, speaking, and because the routine is short, you can actually return tomorrow. Consistency beats dramatic effort. I would rather you train 15 focused minutes 6 days a week than study 4 hours once and disappear for 10 days. Your brain needs repeated invitations to use English. Give it those invitations. When you wake up, 1 English thought. When you commute, 5 minutes of listening. When you hear a useful phrase, repeat it. When you are alone, describe something. Before sleep, summarize your day in 3 sentences. English begins entering your life in small spaces, and gradually, those spaces connect. One day, you may notice that you understood a sentence before translating it. Do not ignore that moment. That is exactly what you are training. Another day, you may answer somebody without planning the answer first. Notice it. Another day, an English phrase may appear naturally inside your mind. Notice it. Your progress may not arrive with a dramatic announcement. It often appears quietly. A shorter pause, a faster response, a familiar phrase, a clearer sound, a conversation that feels slightly easier. That is how automaticity grows. And there will still be difficult days. You may listen to someone and understand almost nothing. You may forget an easy word. You may freeze in a conversation even after weeks of practice. Do not turn one difficult moment into a conclusion about your ability. Language performance changes with stress, tiredness, topic, speaker, accent, speed, and environment. One bad conversation does not erase your training. Return. Listen again. Speak again. Your job is not to perform perfectly every day. Your job is to keep building familiarity. Now I want you to remember the central idea we have practiced together. When English enters your ears, do not immediately grab every word and drag it through translation. First, ask, what is happening? What is the speaker trying to communicate? What situation can I picture? Then notice useful phrases. Repeat them, use them, connect English directly with experience. And when you speak, do not begin by creating the perfect sentence in your first language. Begin with the English you already have. Short thought, simple sentence, add detail, connect, continue. If a word disappears, explain around it. If you need time, use a phrase that gives you time. If you make a mistake, finish your thought. If you do not understand someone, ask them to repeat. That is what real communication looks like. You are not preparing for a grammar examination every time you open your mouth. You are exchanging meaning with another human being. And meaning does not need perfection before it can travel. So before we finish, I want you to do one final exercise with me. Look around you. Choose one thing you can see. Create one English sentence about it. Now tell me what you are doing. One sentence. Now tell me how you feel. One sentence. Now tell me what you are going to do next. One sentence. 4 thoughts, directly in English. No dictionary, no perfect grammar, no long preparation. You just proved something important to yourself. You do not need to wait until your English becomes perfect before you begin thinking in English. You begin thinking in English by using the English you already know, again and again, in real moments. And every time you do that, you make the path a little easier for your brain to find again. So when you finish this lesson, do not immediately search for another video and fill your mind with more information. Give yourself 5 minutes. Choose a short piece of English. Listen once without translating. Understand the situation. Listen again. Choose one useful sentence. Repeat it. Change one part. Make it personal. Then close the audio and use that pattern in a sentence of your own. Tomorrow, do it again. Not because repetition is exciting, because repetition creates familiarity, and familiarity creates speed, and speed reduces the need for translation. Eventually, you will begin hearing familiar English as meaning rather than as a puzzle. You will hear, "I'll get back to you," and understand the intention. You will hear, "I'm running out of time," and feel the situation. You will hear, "I didn't mean to," and recognize the emotion. You will hear, "It's up to you," and understand without stopping to rebuild the sentence. That is the direction you are moving toward. Not a mind with no first language. Not a mind that never makes mistakes. A mind that has developed a direct English pathway alongside the language you already have. And when that pathway becomes stronger, speaking changes too. You stop beginning every answer with a translation. You begin responding from familiar English, at first only with simple phrases. then longer sentences, then explanations, then stories, then conversations where you suddenly realize that several minutes have passed and you were not translating every line. That moment is possible, but it is built from what you do now. One sentence, one pattern, one listening session, one response, one day at a time. So do not tell yourself, I need thousands more words before I can speak. Use the words you already know. Do not tell yourself, I need perfect grammar before I can think in English. Think simple thoughts today. Do not tell yourself, I need someone to practice with. Speak aloud when you are alone. Do not tell yourself, I understand English, but I cannot speak. Start training the bridge between understanding and speaking. Listen, recognize, repeat, change, use. And when your mind tries to translate every sentence, do not become frustrated with yourself. Simply return your attention to meaning. What is happening? What does the person want? What do I understand from the situation? What simple English can I use here? That is the habit you are building. You are teaching your brain that English does not always need permission from another language before it can make sense. And from this moment forward, I want you to measure your progress differently. Do not measure it only by how many vocabulary words you have memorized or how many grammar chapters you have completed. Measure it by how much English you can recognize without translating, how quickly you can respond to a familiar question, how comfortably you can express a simple thought, and how confidently you can continue when one word is missing. Those are the abilities that begin turning knowledge into communication. Keep the practice simple enough that you will actually do it. Keep the English understandable enough that your brain can follow it. Keep repeating useful language until it becomes familiar. Keep speaking before you feel completely ready. And most importantly, keep giving English a place in your real life. Not only inside books, not only inside lessons, not only inside vocabulary lists, inside your morning, inside your walk, inside your thoughts, inside your voice. Because there will come a point when you hear a familiar sentence and meaning arrives first. There will come a point when someone asks you a question and an English response appears before you have time to translate it. There will come a point when you catch yourself thinking, planning, reacting, or even joking in English for a few seconds. And those few seconds will become longer. That is how the change happens, quietly, gradually, through repeated use. So today, do not try to conquer the entire English language. Give your brain one clear instruction. Listen for meaning, then give your mouth another. Use what you hear. Start with one sentence. Repeat it until it feels familiar. Change it until it becomes yours. Use it until you no longer need to search for it. Then move to the next. If you continue doing that, English will slowly stop feeling like information you are carrying around in your memory and start feeling like something you can actually reach when you need it. And that is the transformation you have been looking for. Not simply, I know English, but I can use English. Not simply, I understand when I study, but I understand when people speak. Not simply, I know what I want to say, but I can actually say it. So when this lesson ends, your practice begins. Listen to one short piece of English. Do not translate it word by word. Follow the meaning. Repeat one sentence. Make it personal. Then say one thought of your own. That is enough for today. Tomorrow, do it again. And little by little, you will notice that the distance between hearing English and understanding it becomes shorter. The distance between having a thought and expressing it becomes shorter. And the pauses that once frightened you begin losing their power. Keep listening. Keep noticing. Keep using what you hear. Your brain does not need another reason to wait. It needs practice. And your next English thought can begin right now.